reasons why Allah mentioned and preserved the story of Bani Israel with such great detail is because they were the nation right before us. Before the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the Ummah of Bani Israel. So they were right before we came. Another reason for such detail being given in the Quran with the story of Bani Israel, the scholars, they say, because we as Muslims are going to fall into the same mistakes that Bani Israel fell into. And so Allah preserved their story and told us with great detail so that we may learn the lessons and so that we may not fall into the same traps that they fell into. From among the many incidents I could bring tonight, there is one that must be focused on. And that is when Bani Israel left Egypt. And they were wandering through the wilderness for a certain number of years. They came to their Prophet Musa alayhi salam with a complaint. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in Surah Baqarah, in which He says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ قلتم يا موسى لن نصبروا على طعام واحد. And remember when you said to Musa, meaning Bani Israel, when you said to Musa, we will not be patient upon one type of food. We will not be patient upon one type of food. فَادْعُوا لَنَا رَبَّكَ. So ask your Lord for us. يُخْرِجْ لَنَا مِمَّا تُنْبِتُ الْأَرْضِ. That Allah will bring forth out of the earth the garlics and herbs and lentils and cucumbers. We don't want to eat the food that Allah has provided for us. We want more. We want something different. We want a greater variety. We have no more patience. Musa alayhi salam responded, أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ. Will you exchange that which is superior for what is inferior? What is it that they were given that they didn't want anymore? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in another ayah, يَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ قَدْ أَنْجَيْنَاكُمْ مِنْ عَدُوِّكُمْ. O children of Israel, we certainly saved you from your enemy, Fir'aun, and we took the covenant from you. وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَنَّ وَالسَّلْوَى. And we sent down upon you al-man was-salwa. What is al-man and was-salwa? Al-man is a type of sap, a type of honey that would descend as they slept at night. And it would be found all over everything, the trees and the leaves and the rocks. And they would gather this sap together so they can eat and find nourishment. And a salwa, the scholars they mention, is the quail bird. Wherever they went wandering through the desert, they would find these birds. They would roast these birds. They would eat these birds. So these are the two foods that Allah provided them with when they were lost and wandering through the desert. When you wander through a desert, can you farm? If you're always on the move, you cannot farm. Can you hunt? If you are moving, you cannot hunt because you're constantly moving. So Allah provided for them, but they wanted something else. And so Musa reminded them and he said to them and he admonished them and said, will you exchange what is superior for what is inferior? What is the purpose of saying all of that? You find every year during this time of the year, between Halloween and New Year's, Muslims who seek to take their part in the festivities and celebration of the others, of the other nations, of the other people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you Ramadan. Allah has given you the first 10 days of Muharram. Allah has given you Yawm Arafah. Allah has given you Eid al-Adha. Allah has given you the Eid al-Fitr. Allah has given you every single Friday, the Jumu'ah, which is an Eid, every Friday. Allah has given you Hajj. Allah has given us the 4 sacred months in the calendar. Allah has given us so much, yet and still you find during this time of year Muslims who are ready and waiting to celebrate the holidays of others, to celebrate Thanksgiving, to celebrate Halloween, to celebrate Christmas. They cannot wait to get their outfits so they may go and stand all night gaining no hasanat so that they may watch a ball drop. This is the state of the ummah today. And so we must say to them, as Musa said to his people, أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ. Will you exchange what is superior for what is inferior? Who from among us is willing to give us Ramadan, willing to give it up so that he may have Christmas? Who from among us is willing to give up Ramadan for Christmas? Who from among us is willing to give up the fast of Arafah for Thanksgiving? What does one gain on Thanksgiving? It is a time in which they're supposed to gather with their relatives. We should be doing that every Friday. But for the fast of Arafah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives 2 years of sin. Allah has blessed this ummah. Allah has blessed us. But we are forgetting the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. My dear brothers and sisters, we as a community are in need of supporting and building and establishing masajids and schools for our children. If we do not do so, if we do not build, if we do not establish schools and places where our children can celebrate, where our children can see Islam on display, where our children can come and learn their deen and learn the importance of these months and these days and these celebrations, our children will desire to celebrate with others. It is an obligation upon this community to make sure that they strive to secure the funds so that they can help build a masjid, and that they may help build a school, and that they may help build an institution where our children can learn. But if we continue to play, if we continue to be cheap with our children, then we will lose them. By Allah, we will lose our children. We will lose our children to these holidays. We will lose our children to these celebrations. Our children will not understand the merit. Our children will not understand and come to learn and value what we have been given. Rather, we will fall into the same trap that Bani Israel fell into, not recognizing the favors that Allah has bestowed them with, but desiring the variety from what they saw around them. Dear brothers and sisters, أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ. Will you exchange what is superior for what is inferior? So let us not come and sit and not give. Everyone is here for a reason and a purpose. We could be anywhere, but we have gathered here tonight. And we know what the Imam expects, and we know what we would all like. So before I close my speech, I want to try, and I'm not good at this, but I want to try to attempt to raise some money as I'm standing here on this pulpit for the community. Who from among us is able to give $5,000 tonight as a pledge to help in building and constructing?